All right, well, it is Lucas once again from the Live Wire, and this time I'm here with Make Them Suffer's vocalist Sean Harmanis. How are you, my friend?
Pretty good, thanks. Just woke up about an hour and a half ago, and we're in Southampton. Yes, I'm staying at the Ibis Budget Hotel, and I've just been for a little walk to find a coffee. But apparently, nothing opens till 8:30. So then I settled for a McDonald's coffee. It was convenient, but it's going down a treat.
Yeah, right. Well, you guys are in Europe at the minute, which has got to be a bit of a trip.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's pretty crazy. We just arrived in the UK yesterday morning. So we've just been in Western Europe now, and then we've just took the ferry yesterday morning. And yeah, we're in Southampton at the moment and about to start the UK leg of the tour.
Yeah, killer. I think you just played France, right? Like I was looking at the tour schedule, and I think that's just where you've come from, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we played Paris 3 days ago, was it? And then we had a day off. But
Mm.
one of the coolest times we played for Paris, to be honest, because we actually the day before the show we all went out to like a nice dinner together, had a bit of a family dinner. That was great, and then we've just had a bit more time to. We went to some bars. There was a rooftop bar like right next to the venue we played, so that was really cool to go and it had like a view of like the Eiffel Tower and like the city, and yeah, it was great to have a margarita before the show and yeah, soak it all in, I guess.
Yeah, killer. So, I've kind of like lost it because I was going to talk about the new album later, but I guess the new album come out like 6 months ago. So obviously, like this is kind of the I think is this the first big tour you're doing with that record? Like having been out,
Yeah,
been out?
yeah, I guess it's this like run of tours for sure because we were like in the States before this. Yeah, so I suppose these are in some ways like the album tours. Yeah.
Yeah. How's it been getting the new songs out in front of the live crowds for the first time? Because again, like that, I think that album only just turned 6 months, like a day or two ago.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's kind of crazy. We you never really know how a song's going to go down live. These days, when we do write, like it is definitely something we take into consideration, and we always like try to strive for a song that like will be cool for a live environment. But you never really know what like how a song will translate and the sort of interactions you're going to have with the crowd until you do perform it a couple of times.
Mm.
And we've chosen to play. We're playing like six new songs, or yeah, six new songs if you include like Doom Switch and Ghost of Me. And I think of the three newer kind of ones that were just on the album and not released as singles or released as later singles. We, it took us like maybe 3 weeks of playing those songs before we kind of found our feet with them and worked out, okay, this is kind of the rhythm of like how it goes down live, and this is the sort of stuff we should do with the crowd and all that sort of stuff. And now I think we're just, yeah, we're a fully oiled machine at this point with the new stuff where, I'm loving how the new songs translate to a live audience and think it's just, we're always a band, I think, that wants to like intensity, I think, is a key word that we want to like strive towards when it comes to our live set, like just like high energy. And I think the new songs definitely allow for that to happen. So yeah, it's cool.
For sure. I got that vibe. So I was at the Tivoli show that you guys did with Barry Tomorrow and that. I think that was like that tour.
Yeah.
And you guys played Oscillator, and like I just kind of felt my caveman brain kick in. I was just like, I want to fight. Like this is just man, just sick track. So I mean the whole album's like that too. The whole album's just fantastic. So it's cool that like kind of getting it out there in front of like the European audience, but obviously then, very soon you're going to be back in Australia and not even doing it in the capital cities, you're hitting the regional towns first. Um, with the first kind of big Australian tour post album. So, something I kind of like to talk about, and I talked about this with the guys from like In Heart's Wake and a bunch of other bands, but like, can you just kind of like speak on the importance of hitting the regional towns and kind of getting metal out into those smaller communities?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think regional touring is something that's been a little bit overlooked in recent years, and it's kind of sad to see bands that have been going for like a longer period of time. I think back when we first started touring in like 2011, I want to say, like every Australian tour was in essence a regional tour. Like you'd play Melbourne and Brisbane and all the capital cities, but you'd also just hit the entire, like every market basically in between those cities, because that's just what made the most sense, and you'd get the most bang for your buck in terms of like the amount of shows you could play in one fell swoop sort of thing. So I've really missed that aspect of touring, and I think that it's really it can be very rewarding to play in communities that don't often get a lot of like heavy music. The fans are more appreciative, and quite often, if you do go out to these communities, you know they're more likely than to return the favor. And when you play your next like show in the capital city that's nearest them, they're going to make the trip out to see you. But I mean, I guess, you know, above all else, the shows are just like more intimate, and I think they're more fun. There's more of a bond between like the bands and the people attending the show. It's, you know, it's a more stripped back show in a lot of ways. You know, there's smaller venues, you're playing like, you know, local pubs and that sort of thing. And I think that creates for a really cool environment where, you know, we don't have all the bells and whistles. We don't have like big TV screens with heaps of graphics on us, like behind us or anything like that. It's very much going to be like, you know, this is us. We're just on stage. We're performing for you guys. There's probably going to be a light show and stuff like that. But, you know, it's really about like the connection between the band and the audience. And I think that because it is a little bit more stripped back, it's a little less serious, and people can kind of like let go and have fun. It's a little bit more casual, I suppose, and it's just like a party. That's the best way I could describe it. It's like you look out there and everyone's having a blast, and then you're having a blast as well. It's a really cool. It's basically the definition of like an intimate show where you do feel that connection from being the person performing on stage with the audience. You know.
Yeah. I think as too is like you're 100% right with the intimacy. Like a couple of years ago, I saw North Lane play the Ipswich Hotel. It was like a pub side room to like 500 people. And like
Yeah.
3 months before that, I think they were on the main stage at Knotfest. Like it's just like kind of seeing how crazy like those. And the thing is the North Lane show at the Ipswich, like that went just as crazy as Knotfest, which is insane.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it went more crazy in a way. You know, per capita.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Obviously, then on the regional tour, you guys are going to be taking out bands like Justice of the Damned, Gloom in the Corner. One of my favorite recent finds is Dissect. I think you're going to be doing some shows with them.
Oh,
Something I love about you guys, and specifically Alpha Wolf, is really big on this too. You guys are really good at kind of picking like these next kind of wave of bands to kind of have, especially like the Australian bands, like on the undercard and bringing them out to your shows. And just to kind of get some names on there, you've had Thornhill, Gravemind, Starve, Bloom, Ocean Sleeper, who I discovered through you guys back on the Neverbloom tour. What is it? Is it cool being one of the bands that can kind of like highlight the next generation of what's coming through the pipeline for Australian music?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember, you know, we received, I remember when we received an offer with Parkway Drive for their regional tour in Australia, and it was like, you know, that was such an opportunity. And for, I mean, the difference between, you know, the amount of people we were able to pull to a show before and after that tour, you know, it was night and day. So it's super important, I think, to, you know, give the bands, you know, kind of on the you know, slightly smaller bands or whatever, it's important to give them a leg up, because yeah, I think it's becoming harder and harder to be like a local band or an up and coming band these days. I think the expectations of you as a newer band are way higher than when we first started. You have to come out with a music video. Pretty much everyone has to have like, you know, if you're doing like a more modern style of metalcore or something like that, it's quite likely that you're going to need like a gig rig with click tracks and in-ear monitors and all that sort of stuff. We just never had to do that back in the day, and we've had a longer time to be able to like set up and afford all this stuff that that runs the show, you know. But yeah, as I say, it's becoming harder and harder, and I think it's also a little bit sadder that I feel like there's less and less of a local community. So I think it's just really important to always give an opportunity to the next generation of bands, make sure we're growing this genre and this community as a whole, because, you know, for a lot of people, it's a really important kind of like outlet and support network, and it's important that we keep it alive.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking then, I guess on new music, something that slipped me by until a couple of days ago. I had no idea you guys had put out a song with Phase One, like
Yeah,
recently.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Recently, yeah.
so I love Phase One. Like I had like a drum and bass EDM phase, like while like I was kind of getting real deep into metal as well. How did that collab come about? I know you guys are both from Western Australia, but like, how did that? Did he just kind of hit you guys up after the Unified One EP he did?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were just contacted by our management, and they said that Phase One had reached out to us. It's worth noting that one of the people that is on our management team is Josh, who plays in North Lane, and they've done a Phase One collab. So something may have happened there. I'm not sure, but I mean, Phase One is he loves doing collabs with metal artists, and it was just such a cool experience because he just sent us basically the link to his entire album as instrumentals and was like, which song do you guys want to do? You've got free reign here, and kind of go nuts with it, do whatever you want. So it was an amazing opportunity for us because I've never really written uh, vocals for much in out of the way of like metal and rock. So like it's a whole different ball game, and it's kind of like you got to be thinking about the song a little bit differently. It's kind of all about the drop and all this sort of stuff. I mean, yeah. I'm not sure how he found us, or how that sort of came to be. But I mean, essentially, yeah, we were just contacted, and we obviously leapt at the opportunity because it's just such a cool thing to do as an experience, and just a cool thing to have in your repertoire for sure.
Yeah, I'm loving seeing the blend, especially with bands like Pendulum. Chasing Status kind of does it too. Like, just seeing the blend of metal and electronic coming together. I mean, Shikari is probably a prime example of that too. Um, but one more thing kind of I want to touch on before I let you go. Not only is the regional tour everyone's talking about, but you guys are going to be part of Hellbound.
Yeah.
So you're the first band I actually get to talk to about this. So I'm really pumped. That's got to be a crazy thing to have held on to, knowing that that was coming when like cruising here, like music cruises aren't really big here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've always seen these cruises, these music cruises that happen in other markets of the world. Like I've seen there's the American one, I think, and there's like a European festival on a ship that seems pretty cool. I've always been like looked at those and thought how fun they look to be, and yeah, I'm stoked we've finally got one in Australia. We only found out about it probably two months before its announcement, so it wasn't like we were having to keep it too sealed shut for too long. So that's all right. But yeah, no, I mean, I've been looking forward to it. I've been telling all my friends and like trying to get everyone to go because essentially it's just going to be a hangout. We're also just mates with like every band on the bill basically. So
Yeah, it's a who's who of like Australian metalcore right now, and like who's kind of at the top there. Again, Ocean Sleep is like a big, again, someone I've fallen deeply, deeply in love with the past couple of years, and that's again because of you guys. But like Parkway Drive's on there, Polaris, you guys, Northlane, Butterfly Effect, In Heart's
yeah,
Wake, Reliqua, like the list goes on and on of like crazy Australian bands, and that's gonna be sick. You guys haven't done like a cruise before, right?
no, this will be our first one.
Is there a little like kind of like nerves, like sitting in of like how we're gonna handle being on a boat for a couple of days playing songs?
Um, Not really. I mean, if anything, I'm super ecstatic about it. I'm super excited for it. I mean, Make Them Suffer is going to make them suffer. We're just going to like play the set, and if people like it, I don't think being on a boat is necessarily going to change like our ability to play the set effectively or something like that. I have heard if you like, have a big night, the hangovers can lead to seasickness, which
Yeah.
just makes it, it's compounding, it makes it way worse. So just going to avoid that. I think, I'm just going to be hopefully, sipping a margarita out of a coconut and laying on a sunbed until we play, and then play. I don't know, keep relaxing, watch some more bands, amazing bands.
Yeah.
I don't know, like such a great weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. I did the Coheed one. I actually flew to the States in 2023, and
Oh,
Coheed and Canberra's got their own one, so I went and did that for a week, and yeah, it was gnarly. I remember Josh Eppard, the drummer. was like freaking out a little bit because his drums kept sliding. And he's just like, we didn't secure this enough. This sucks.
Yeah, that could
But
definitely put something, I can imagine. But yeah, you just kind of
yeah,
got to get it right. I mean, I suppose in that sense, a circle pit could be pretty dangerous when you're thinking about a boat rocking side to side like that. But yeah,
I think Animals as Leaders had a wall of death at one of their shows, and it was sick.
we'll be doing that.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Well, like I said, the regional tour is kicking off on June 12th in Mackay. Runs the East Coast, all hitting to Tassie before hitting 2 shows in Western Australia. I'll throw full dates up at the end. But appreciate you taking the time out. Enjoy the rest of Europe. We'll see you next month. And yeah, just something you said at the last Brisbane show, I just want to kind of touch on. You guys kind of talked about being on the verge of like breaking up and not knowing where it was going to be. And the fact that you guys are now kind of out there booking these crazy shows, booking cruises, booking these regional shows. It's really cool to see that it didn't end and that you guys are back in like probably the biggest and the best form you've ever been in. So yeah, thanks for sticking around and we'll see you next month.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Cheers.